What's up, brothers? Coming back at you with an STI video. Today we're gonna be installing the dual pass blow-off valve, bypass valve hybrid from MaxpeedingRods. We already did the review video. If you guys wanna check it out, I'll put it up in the corner. But other than that, it's gonna be a super quick install. So let's get after it. So MaxpeedingRods has been around for about 15 years now, and they've been a huge supporter of the racing industry. They sponsor a few cars in the drifting and circuit racing. They're all over the world, and they've really been known for their connecting rods and turbos. If you guys check out their website, they have a lot of very affordable parts, a lot of coverage on a lot of different cars. But it's very here and there, but a lot of their stuff may cover your car. They cover all of our cars here, the Volvo V70R, my car, and the 370Z, and a lot of other European cars as well. So if you're looking for something like that, definitely check it out. This blow-off valve hybrid was actually like 60 bucks. And you guys know for like the Cobb, it's $200 plus. So affordable. We'll see if it stands up to the test. All right, so the first step here, we're going to be disconnecting everything. So first I'm gonna start with the reference hose for boost. Sometimes they may have a zip tie on it. This one I've already broken loose. I took pliers and rolled it around to break it loose off of the nipple there. Comes right off, simple step. So next, while it's still attached to the intercooler, I'm gonna break the hose loose here, because once this is loose, it'll be a lot more difficult. So that's gonna be a 15/16 most of the time. So the next step here, we're gonna, while it's still attached to the intercooler, I'm gonna use an 8mm socket on the worm clamp down here to break this hose loose, because it's a lot easier while it's still connected to the intercooler. Some of them have originally they're a spring clamp, so get in there with pliers or a needle nose. But luckily I have a worm clamp. I'd rather have that, and a lot of times I replace them with that because it makes it a lot easier. So we're gonna take this off of here. And this might be easier with a gear wrench just because it's kind of tight to fit in there. Yeah. Then I'm just gonna push it down out of the way. Now that we have the clamp loosened, I'm gonna use this pick tool to get it on that hose because it looks like it's been on there for quite some time. So the way to do that, to get in behind it. And I'll put the link in the description so you guys can see these tools for yourself if you want one. They're very handy when working with hoses. So you basically get in on the hose and then kind of work it around. This one has a little bit too much curve to it, so it's not too ideal for this scenario.
We've angled the camera.
So I'll just get my super long boy. Woo, so we can go all the way downtown with it. And then I can work pretty much all the way around it to break it loose off the surface. All right, so the next step here, now that we have the hose loose, we're not gonna take it all the way off because it's still a little stuck on there, but now we can get it off of the intercooler so that we can basically just pull it off the same way. So 12mm wrench or socket with a gun or a ratchet, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So super simple. And then your gasket's behind there, so be aware of that. Ours came with a new gasket, so we won't worry about saving it, but I don't want it falling into the engine bay, so. I'm gonna stick my hand behind here as I pull it off. There we go. Sometimes you gotta beat it off, you know what I mean? And then you can twist this the rest of the way. Be careful of your sensor, you don't break your map sensor.
Not necessary.
There we go. And voila! It's off that easily. And this thing is on there, so cool. Don't have to worry about that. You can tell that this guy needs to get swapped onto this guy, but another thing that, at least with the MaxpeedingRods one, this plate's actually on upside down, because in order, that tube needs, if I put it on the way it's sitting right now, the tube's facing up. And you can see how these sit here. It would be like this. So this tube needs to be facing down on here. So I'm gonna take this off here, turn it around,
It does come with an Allen key.
Oh, does it? Oh, and it comes with an Allen key?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't even know that.
It's in the bag with the gasket.
Oh, cool. So, because they knew it was gonna mess up. So, the Allen key, and these are Phillips heads here. So yeah, so said with with said Allen key in kit.
Dope.
Dude, I stumble over my words so much. I know Quillen's probably gonna turn this into a joke here, so.
You betcha sweet Bippy I did. Well, I'm gonna beat my...
Cut all of this. Oh, leave that part in.
Okay, so there's an over, ooh. Oh. All right, so where was I? Let me just act like I just took it off. All right, so we're taking this off for the first time. And we found out that these plates actually are releasable, which is nice because it has a certain way that it sits. So I can kind of spin it and turn it wherever I want and it won't mess up.
Is that billet?
This is billet. Yeah, this is all billet.
No way.
So just make sure you have this clocked identical to your original one, because this does pivot quite a bit and it can move around a lot. So if you don't have it on properly or clocked right, you're gonna have a difficult time getting the line up with your other hose there. So let's get in on that. Now that we got that clocked right, it was hitting this, but once I put it back down, you can spin this, just release the nuts just a little bit so it doesn't all come apart, and then you can spin it, which is nice. But now we're on to swapping this over to the new one. I went at it with a screwdriver already, and they're really tight, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna strip them out. So an impact driver, if you have one, is probably a very good tool to use for this. Or maybe a gun, put it in a vise and really put a lot of pressure on it, which is what I'm gonna do. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put it in a vise and use a regular wrench, because most of you guys probably aren't gonna have or wanna buy this. So let's go to the vise. Yeah, we're gonna go straight to the impact driver. I really don't feel comfortable with this coming off because they're real tight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real tight. So let me get a hammer. All right, so these are pretty simple. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check them out. The way these work is you put your fitting in, get it in there, and then it twists. The handle actually twists. So the handle will twist, and you're pushing down on it while you're twisting, and then up here, you hammer the back side of it. And it's basically like an impact gun. You're putting a lot of force down and it twists it at the same time. And I've already actually have it moving from that first hit. And then do it again. And then you keep doing it until you, yeah, now it's loose. So I'm not worried about it stripping the thread out now. All right, that one's pretty much out. And then the same thing on this side. Super handy when you got tight screws that don't want to come out. So now that we've got it out, it's got a small little O-ring around the seat here, and it's kind of crusty. So I'm gonna test the fitting first.
Lubricate it.
So you know what, guys? I'm gonna lubricate it because you should always lubricate. Again, lubricate it. WD. Oh, there it goes. I might need a little encouragement, so take the back side of the screwdriver. And the bolt should bring it down the rest of the way, hopefully. They're tight. All right, they're tight. We're good. It comes with a gasket as well. Now I'm gonna leave this on the sidelines for now. I'm gonna get it into the hose here first. Same thing with the bolts. Use your WD-40 around this and in the hose. Is that all nice and... Push it on in there. All right, so I'm seeing that the horn on said blow-off valve gonna hit this rail here. So I'm just gonna end up taking it off. I doubt it may add something to the sound, but for the fact that I would rather it fit nicely, because this was actually running into our problem of clocking this right. So now that this is off, we don't have any of that problem. And I might wanna try and clock it, because if I put this on properly, this thing is facing, it's actually not off too bad, but I think it would be better if it stuck a little bit. All right, yeah, so I'm gonna change the clock on that. WX might be a little different. It may be able to work with that horn, but my STI is not. So I'm gonna loosen these back up, clock a little bit. Oh, and by the way, I took off the connector on the map sensor so that I didn't hurt the plug or the wires, because obviously my hand is all up in here in order to get this on. Seated. And then don't forget your gasket. Jesus. Good thing it's just boost, you know?
Good thing it only makes 15 pounds.
No, it doesn't. It only makes 8 right now.
We say nature's lactate.
Yeah, right. This line here is hitting. When I was trying to tighten this up, it was actually hitting on here. Wouldn't let it mount flush to the intercooler. So I had to take the bolt off, so this is loose. I definitely don't want to leave it that way, but I don't have a choice. I can actually put this one bolt in. It lines up. So, good there.
Yeah, that's good.
It's just
Those don't at all.
over here, I'm way off.
You could bend the bracket down, but
That's probably what I'm gonna end up doing here. And if you took off your map sensor like I did, plug it in, and we also have the hose to go to. So, I'm gonna plug that in real quick. My hose is already off the bottom one. You just gotta tug on a little bit, because this sits a little taller, especially depending on how you have this wheeled up, which we're gonna set that here in a minute. But, and this is kind of loose on here, so I'm gonna definitely put a zip tie, because I don't trust that that's gonna stay on. It's kind of loose. So let me get a zip tie, put that on there. We are done the install. Next step here is to start the car and set the spring pressure if it's not working properly. So let's do it. It's low. Cool. So as you guys see, the spring's already closed, so I don't have to adjust it right now. But the way that does work is if it's wheeled out, the boost will blow the spring open faster. But if you have it wheeled all the way in, it'll take more boost to open up the valve. So in my case, I'm over boosting. So I want to have that wheeled all the way out for right now, and then adjust accordingly to get my regulated boost pressures that I'm looking for. So let's go for a drive and hear these whoosh whoosh noises. Let's see if we can get some cool whooshy noises. Well, that concludes this install video and sound clips of the blow-off valve the hybrid video. Wow, let me just restart that. I hope you guys like the install video of the dual pass blow-off and bypass valve hybrid. I keep stumbling over that. I had to really focus on that. But if you guys like the video, like it, please subscribe. And always ask questions. We are always answering every single comment that we have. So feel free to ask us anything or let us know what you thought about the video. We're gonna continue to do more. Next is probably gonna be a 3-port boost controller because we're still overboosting a little bit in 5th, but we'll cover that later. And if you guys wanna see more of the tuning, the nitty gritty of the tuning, let me know and I will definitely cover it for you guys. Other than that, I will see you on the next one.